right, welcome to another Friday night episode of Keto Rocks Radio. I'm Jim Hobbs, and to my left or right is my carnivore co-host, Brian Damage Forsythe of the band Kix and Rhino Bucket. And Brian is going to introduce our guest for tonight. So Brian, take it away.
Yeah, this is my friend Rob Rogers. I met him through Carl, who whoever's listening saw, what was it, like 2 weeks ago?
Yeah.
And yeah, Carl introduced me to Rob, and he jumped onto the carnivore bandwagon, and yeah, he's had some amazing results. So
let's hear him. Welcome, Rob.
Thanks, Jim. Hey, Brian. The brisket king over there.
That he
well, yeah, Carl called me. I think it was the 4th of May, and he'd been on it for a few days. I hadn't heard anything about it, and he called me. I think it was a Wednesday, and just saying, "You're not going to believe what I'm doing, and this is great, and I've got to get you on Brian's page. You got to watch his videos." And da, da, da. And he was excited. Of course, if you know Carl, he's always excited, but he was extra excited. He was extra excited, and I was really coming off a period where I was feeling like crap, all self-imposed. Just you are what you eat. So I was eating a lot of crap, and I felt like crap. And I think Crystal and I kind of enabled each other with food. We knew better than to eat at night, but we'd be watching Yellowstone or something, and hey, how about some popcorn? Or, you want some brownies? Probably not a good idea, but sure. So there was a lot of that going on. And most of my life, I've been pretty normal sized, but I had ballooned up. I guess this was probably the 3rd time in my life. And I had gained over 50 pounds. And it started in the holidays last year. And I just wasn't doing anything to take care of it. And when Carl called, it was, he said, "This is going to be so easy. You're not going to believe it." And, kind of sold me the moon and everything. And anyway, I went straight to Brian's page that night and started looking at some of the videos. And I decided I was going to start the next morning with Cinco de Mayo. And normally for me, I've got to put off a diet a little bit. I've got to wait till a Monday or, when it's convenient a little bit. But I started that Thursday morning and went through the normal, growing pains, because I went cold turkey. It's the only way I really knew how to do things. So the first 4 days were the roughest, the headaches and everything else, from no sodas, no sugar, caffeine withdrawal, the whole 9 yards. And I got through that and really started to notice differences immediately. I was not sleeping good. I had IBS. I think I usually would get up twice during the night to go to the bathroom, and all that stopped. I started sleeping through the night. My puffy face cleared up, complexion. I had horrible inflammation, and it started going away immediately. Immediately I started noticing I wasn't having as much pain in my feet, my ankles, and everything else. So I just stuck with it. And for me, I'm no expert at all. What I'm good at is following instructions. So, I'm good at doing what I'm told. So I did what Carl said to do. I do what Brian's videos say to do. If I don't understand something, I get a hold of Brian and he explains it to me. So he'll tell you I'm no stranger in his inbox, and sometimes if I think he said something that I don't understand, especially like HDL and LDL, I'll be like, what are you talking about? Explain it to me more. And he does, so I am a work in progress and constantly learning. I'm definitely not going to sit on here acting like I know much about it. I just have been fortunate that to be able to watch what other people are doing and what they're telling me and not try to reinvent the wheel.
Yeah, Brian's a great resource. And more important than that, he's a great role model because he lives it out. He's not telling people to go do this. He's living in it and modeling it out. It's attracting people to him and his page. But Rob, you say that you're no expert, but here's the difference between being an expert knowledge wise and then being somebody who's experiencing the results like an expert. So I would take somebody who's actually living it out and experiencing the benefits of living a carnivore lifestyle. Don't discount that, because there's plenty of people out there who read about the different diets, whether it's vegetarian, veganism, carnivore, keto. They read about all of that, but they still are in the same habits each and every day. And by not changing those habits, it doesn't matter how much knowledge they have about those lifestyles, those diets, it's not conveying or not manifesting in their life. What you have done, you are just, hey, listen, I'll give this a shot. You're living it out. You're manifesting and experiencing the positive results. And you may not know why, but it doesn't matter why. It matters how you are feeling when you wake up each and every morning, and how is your sleep through the night. So I would not discount what you're doing right now. Just the fact that you're living that life, and people around you are going to be able to witness those changes and see a difference in you. You're attracting people to a healthy lifestyle that can save people's lives. And that's what I love about our channel. I love what people like you and Carl and others are doing. And it's because people like Brian, you see what Brian eats every day. So it's just amazing to me, the impact. We can't discount the impact that us just living a simple life has on the world around us.
Yeah,
I'm amazed by all the people that have reached out. It's they're in my inbox all the time, and rather than try to tell them what to do, I'm more about just giving them links to things. So Brian's health stuff, his meals, his health stuff, your all's videos is all public on his page. So people will be like, well, I'm not on his friends list. You don't have to be on his friends list. All you're going to miss out on is some squirrels and some deer eating some apples in the backyard and stuff. But you'll get all the important stuff. So I'll send people to his page to say this stuff is public. Send them to Dr. Barry's page. A lot of times I'll put links. That's what Brian's did for me in the very beginning, was give me a bunch of links to watch. And you can't watch them all. I mean, you never have time to do anything else if you watched them all. But the more you watch, the better it is for you. That's for sure.
Yeah, and like for me personally, I don't consider myself an expert either. I kind of stumbled onto it the same as you, and just learned through experience, and it is an ongoing learning experience. I learn something new every day. Every time I log onto a podcast, it's like I learned something.
Yeah.
And it's always changing. They're always finding out new stuff. And one thing that it isn't as beneficial as they used to think it was, those little things. So things sort of shift back and forth. But
Hashtag cholesterol.
Yeah, that. But it took me personally, it took me a long time to really get on the straight and narrow track. It was funny because the last couple of days I was looking for a photo, and I have thousands of photos on my phone and iPad, and I just started going through it, and I went down that rabbit hole. So I was looking at all my old photos, and most of them are food posts or food photos, but they're date stamped, so I can see when I ate that stuff. And it's so funny how, even like 2017, I was starting to transition into keto there. I was mostly keto, but it's so funny how many times I would stray from the path, even like at that point. And so it took me a long time to really, like you said, how things cleared up for you. I think my path was so gradual, I didn't feel the impact right away. The most like profound impact that I felt was when I went from keto to carnivore. That's when it was like a boom, like, oh man. Like that was the biggest change I felt.
Yeah.
And even going carnivore, it took me a good 6 months before I finally went completely carnivore and cut out even the keto stuff. So it is.
I was on YouTube in the living room TV one time, and I was looking up. This was, I don't know, a few months ago, and I was looking up Keto Rocks so I could see it on a bigger screen, watch some of the older episodes. Anyway, he got done playing, and you know how YouTube will just take you to some other video.
Oh yeah.
So I didn't pick it, and this was done, and I went to the kitchen, grabbed some water, and I came back, and there you were on the screen in your kitchen doing this cooking video, and I was like, he does cooking videos too? And this thing was like, it's probably years old, you'd remember it, but it was like a bacon wrapped pork roast or something, a meatloaf, I forget.
Oh yeah, I think that was my first one that I
Was
did.
it?
Yeah, that was my
So
very first
yeah, I
video.
think you were fooling with the camera a little bit, saying, well, we're going to try it on wide lens this time. But what I remember was one of the things I remember was you had this cool meat thermometer, and it was Wi-Fi.
Mm,
And I think you said your brother gave it to you.
yeah.
And so it would go on your phone and tell you the temperatures. I thought that was the coolest thing. I'm calling Carl up. You got Wi-Fi meat thermometers. You got to get one of these things. He says, I just bought it. But that's how I accidentally found out that you did the cooking videos. And I've watched like 2 more since. But yeah, it's funny the things you find out.
Yeah,
You do a lot of cooking in there.
yeah, I was doing those during 2020 when everything was shut down. I had nothing else, so you know. And that's funny because if you go back and look at those, when I first started those, I didn't even have my Traeger yet. I still had that little one of those Weber, those little Weber things. It's like a tube.
Yeah.
And I was trying to cook smoke stuff on that, but it was so small I couldn't. There was no way I would have been able to do a brisket
Yeah.
back.
It probably was one of the first ones because a couple times you go over to the phone, you'd be like, "Let me take a look here."
Yeah, yeah, to make sure it's still running.
Right. Now, do you do most of the cooking around there, or do you guys kind of split it up, or is it mostly you with you
Yeah,
and
it
Shannon?
is. It's me. I tell her, like, if you ever feel like cooking, don't, be my guest. I don't want to like monopolize the kitchen here, but
Right.
no, it's she likes it that way.
She suffers through it. Good deal. Yeah, you guys had a episode last week. I guess one of her friends was on
Yeah,
that was almost diabetic. Her and her husband, I guess, had been on the cruise. They've lost a
yeah,
ton of weight.
Yeah,
yeah.
Christine, she actually sent me a message. She was actually a type 2 diabetic.
In reverse.
Reversed that in 3 months. I mean, she started, sounds like around the same time you did. I think she started in May as well.
Okay.
So
I've got to watch the rest of it. I just started watching it this morning. I got to about probably 9 or 10 minutes in, and I'll go back and watch the rest of it. But yeah, sound like a cool story. Crystal and I certainly weren't near being diabetic or anything, but we were both overweight. She lost 30 pounds. I've lost 50. Carl lost 50. Carl's wife, Lisa, I believe they were just here down here at the lake house, and I believe she lost 24 at the point that she got here. And we stuck to our diet pretty good while we were down here. I mean, I loaded the fridge up with ribeyes and scallops and shrimp, and it was
Yeah,
good eating.
I saw the one meat buffet photo. That was pretty cool.
yeah, that you
That's
had
really,
everything
really good
there.
time.
Goodness, that looked like a smorgasbord of meats.
Well, you know what our man Brian says, eat your meat. So I hashtag it in all my posts now.
Yeah,
I say, Brian, if you had one bit of advice to give somebody, what would it be? Eat your meat.
It's so simple but life changing. That's why it's such a
Yeah,
simple saying that if you can remember it and you can do it, it really can
that's right.
change your life. Brian, you're talking about pictures. A good friend of ours sent us a picture from a group that we still hang out with on weekends. But this is from 2017. So I'll post this. I don't know if you'll see it on this screen or not, but oh wow, I just disappeared altogether.
You did.
There, look how big I am. That's 2017.
That didn't even look
Oh,
like
wow.
I know. And there's Peggy beside me, but she's not there. So 2017, I was probably, I'm going to say probably close to 300 pounds in that picture. And now I'm like 190, between 195, 198. I mean,
You lost 100 pounds?
Yeah, but it's not even about the weight. It's how much better I feel about life. I mean, my thinking, everything is just
Yeah,
improved dramatically. You know,
that's amazing. 100
oh yeah.
pounds.
Well, even sadder about that is I had lost all that weight before. I started Atkins in 2006, 7, sometimes time frame, and Peggy and I both, I lost like 100 pounds then. So I got down close. Yeah, it was at 205, 200. And then that's those little bad habits start to incorporate. Oh, this little sausage biscuit's not going to hurt me. I got to get this meeting. I don't have time to go home and do my pound of bacon and dozen of eggs. So I'll just get a maple sausage biscuit from Dunkin' Donuts and my iced coffee. And I didn't gain any weight after one time. Well, then that one day returns. I'll do it every other day, see if I get away with it. And then you become that addict. And next thing you know, you're back to eating fried foods, fried shrimp, fried oysters, fried chicken, having the biscuits every morning, snacking your way through the day. And you truly are a food addict. You talk about people having addictions, but I would say 95% of the country is addicted to sugar and carbs, and they don't even know that food is what's controlling their lives. And and the way that's the case is all you got to do is be around them, because you'll see they're just like I used to. They'll plan their whole day around where we're going to go eat here after they're eating right here. Hey, where we're going to eat here, because they know they're going to be always have a hankering for food. And then when they hear doctors talk about that it's heart healthy to snack 5 to 7 meals a day, it just reinforces that terrible habit. So it justifies that addiction. And so it's very hard to break that habit. For you to go cold turkey and just go, hey, I'm going to bite the bullet, go through the keto flu, and I'm going to stick with it. That's very rare.
Yeah, some people just have to do it that way. I mean, Brian's that way too. I mean, he's broken addictions on things before, and that's how he did it. He didn't wean himself down. And some of us just have to do it that way. You just go hard or go home,
Dive into the deep end.
Right.
Well,
I didn't even know about big food. I didn't know all this about how they've got the whole country addicted by design until I started listening to your guys' stuff. And it's absolutely the biggest racket on planet Earth.
Yeah.
And I go in the grocery store now, and I'm walking through the grocery store, and I'm passing literally every spot that I used to stop, trying to get to the bacon and eggs and the steaks and the chicken and all of that. But when Carl said we were going to do this, he said, we're going to do intermittent fasting. And I said, I'm already doing that. And he said, no, we're going to go 20 hours off and 4 on. I said, 20 hours? What are you talking about? Like, no one goes 20 hours. And he goes, we're going to go 20 hours. And I said, well, I'm already doing it. And he said, well, how long are you going? I said, 16 hours. He goes, well, you're still fat, so it must not be working. I was like, oh, maybe he's got a point here. And I just didn't think I could do it. But I think I stopped getting hungry after about 3 or 4 days. My body just adjusted so fast. And I'm the person that's eating breakfast every day my entire life. I eat a big breakfast, bacon, eggs, and toast and hash browns, and I mean all of it. And I've just always been that guy that says, well, it's the most important meal of the day, and everyone told me that. And so that's just how it is. And so that was tough, giving up breakfast, but it was one of the key parts of doing this. That was part of it, because I don't eat now until 12 o'clock or 1 o'clock. Or sometimes till 3. It just depends on what I'm in the middle of.
Yeah, but my favorite meal was always breakfast too. I'm a big diner guy. So I just moved it up to dinner time. I still eat breakfast, but at dinner.
Yeah. What time did you go to Double T a few weeks ago when you were up there in Catonsville?
Oh, I was driving back from Penns Peak, so way up in Pennsylvania. So it was probably 3 o'clock or so.
Okay, that's good eating over there, Double T.
Yeah, I love that place.
We've Jim, how long have you been in Maryland? All your life?
No, I'm in Virginia, so I'm originally from North Carolina. I'm in Fauquier County in Summer Duck. So I've been in Northern Virginia since 1976, Woodbridge. So Grew up in
Oh
Woodbridge
yeah.
County up until 9 years ago. So yeah, so I've been in Northern Virginia since '76. So
When we would drive south on 95, Woodbridge is where the traffic would finally open up. You know, you'd be coming around the Beltway and just stop and go and stop and go. And you always knew when you hit Woodbridge, you're gonna be able to roll again.
yeah, that ain't the case anymore. I don't know if it rolls even. You got to get past Fredericksburg now for it to start to roll. And then you got to, you know, thank God Richmond's better. But yeah, it's just terrible.
Yeah.
I mean, they keep adding lanes, but they also keep adding people. So
Right. Well, up there where Brian and I are kind of from, there's Double T diners. They're everywhere. I don't know, there's at least 8 of them. There might be more, like 11. I used to snowplow for them, and they have them all over the place, you know, out in Pasadena and Catonsville and Ellicott City, and they're everywhere. But everybody loves the Double T diner.
Well, actually, the Ellicott City one, they changed it. It's still a diner, but it's not the Double T. And there used to be one in Frederick, and that one closed down a few years ago, which was a bummer.
Right.
But that one in Pasadena, that's a good one. So
yeah,
and it's near the airport, which helps.
Yep, that's right. That's right. So yeah, when you're in airports all the time, it just makes it more difficult. But you just got to make do and figure out a way. Like you say, put all the crap on the side.
Well, I've flown I've been to so many different airports and scoped it out that I know when I'm going here, I can go there to get the food.
Yeah.
You know, there's still a couple that I'm not familiar with, or like say Chicago Midway, that they used to have this really good barbecue place there, and you could go just get a pile of brisket. And the last couple of times I've been through there, it's been closed. It's not closed down, but it's always closed, which is like, oh man.
Like I went through there a couple of weeks ago, and the air conditioning was off in that place. And the barbecue place you're talking about was closed down. All the restaurants were closed because they didn't want the heat coming out into the airport. But I'll have to ask Crystal. Crystal was in Midway last night. I'll have to ask her if what she saw when she was in there. But yeah, you do learn the airports. It's a little different with you being in Nashville, but I've always been kind of off the beaten path a little bit. And my airport is Spartanburg. So it's Greenville, Spartanburg. They call it GSP. And so, you know, all routes go through Atlanta. So you're always, no matter where you fly, you're either hitting Atlanta or Dallas, Fort Worth, or they'll fly you all the way up to Chicago sometimes to bring you back down to Arizona. You just never know on Southwest. But I'm a Southwest fanatic. I don't fly anything but Southwest. I love Southwest.
Yeah, that's my airline too.
Yeah.
It's always a last resort if I have to go to like Delta or something. I'm like, oh man. In fact, when we did the Monsters of the Mountain thing the other week, we had a gig in Ohio first, which was I had to fly to Cincinnati and then drive. And there was no direct flight from Nashville to Cincinnati. So I had to go to Chicago first. And then on the way home, I had to go to Orlando. So that was like but the rest of the guys flew from Maryland, and they were taking American to Charlotte and then to Knoxville. And I could have gone with them, but it was like, I don't want to deal with another airline. So I just flew back home and then drove out to where Gatlinburg.
Oh yeah, you went to Bennett's Barbecue out there. I love that place.
Yeah, and to me, it was worth the drive just to not deal with American Airlines. And actually, their flight was longer than the drive. So
yeah. It's crazy. Crystal left Daytona yesterday. I think they sent her to Dallas, Fort Worth. She's trying to get to Oklahoma. They flew her right over Oklahoma and took her all the way up to Chicago. And she had to sit her butt up there for a few hours and then finally bring her back to Oklahoma. I haven't even talked to her. I don't even know if she got home. Hopefully she's home.
Yeah, that's what the same with Cincinnati. I flew right past Cincinnati to get to Chicago and then had to fly back.
It's crazy, isn't it?
Yeah.
But yeah, the intermittent fasting thing, what I was saying about that was Carl decided 20 hours, you know, and then 4 on. And that's pretty much what we stuck to. Now, we vary a little bit. I remember you telling me in the very beginning, you know, 16 is your minimum, everything else is a bonus, and that you switch your times up depending. So a lot of the stuff you told me in the very beginning was kind of how I laid my groundwork of how I was going to do things. you know, and I'd get information from him, and then I kind of double check it with you, or I could actually reach you easier than I could reach Carl because he's at work all day long. But I pretty much figure on 12 to 4 each day. Sometimes it's 1 to 5, and a lot of times it's not even 4 hours. You know, I may not be hungry. And if I remember you saying in the very beginning, if you're not hungry, you don't have to eat. You don't have to eat just to eat, you know? And so sometimes if things are going on, especially let's say I'm doing yard work or something, and I end up not coming in until 2 or 3, and I have a big, you know, steak and scallops or something at 3, I don't want to eat again at 7 o'clock. So that's usually when I'll notice the pound drop quick.
So you said is Crystal gone carnivore as well, Rob?
She was kind of like Lisa. They kind of did it not as strict as Carl and I did, but they didn't look as bad as Carl and I did. Carl and I, we were both really showing it. We were overweight, and I sent you some pictures, and you can see what we looked like, you know, 5 months ago, and what we looked like the other day standing on my back deck. And it's a huge difference. But Crystal and Lisa, they still looked good. They were just unhappy with themselves. They had a few too many pounds on, so they didn't go as strict as we did. However, they kind of switched it around at some point. I don't know when it happened. Maybe they just got so used to seeing what we were doing. But Crystal was kind of hitting a plateau and not losing much weight. And then I was scheduled to go to Oklahoma to visit her. And she was trying to figure out what she could cook for me that would be okay for me to eat, and what was my schedule going to be. And so she kind of changed herself around a little bit to make it easier for me when I got there. And then she ended up sticking to it. And that's when her weight really started coming off. You know, she lost 7, she lost 8, she was kind of hanging around there. The next thing I know, you know, she's lost 15 pounds, and she's lost 20, and she's lost 22. And I just saw her down in Daytona. I guess I flew down there on Saturday. Whew, oh man, she was looking good. She was the best looking girl in the room, and everybody was looking at her. And I was like, yeah, she's mine. Yeah, so I would say she's a lot closer to it now than she was before. But and Lisa too. I mean, you know, I talk to Carl all the time, you know, and so you got your guy talk going on, you know, and I was telling Lisa about this. I said, you know, what's more important than what someone says to your face is what they say behind your back. And that's when they're really saying how they feel about you. And I said, Carl calls me up and he's telling me how hot you look and you've lost all this weight, and he's chasing you around the house. And he's like, I got the best looking girl on Kent Island. And, you know, that's what he's saying behind your back. You're not even there and you don't even know. But he's so proud of you. I feel the same way about Crystal. They're both amazing women. They really are. So I guess each of us, each couple has lost close to 80 pounds.
Wow. That's amazing. You know, you just said something, and I don't know if I posted this or I plan on posting it, but I just read a study last night that said that when you do a good deed or compliment somebody, your body actually responds. It has receptors to respond and create serotonin so you sleep better at night. And it also boosts your immune system. But our body also, so the person who's receiving the compliments receives that. The person who is doing the kind act or giving the compliments, they also receive that. But if you're an observer and you observe that, so whether you observe that in real life or observe kind deeds in a video or a YouTube video where you're seeing somebody do something nice, it does the same thing. But the bottom line is your body responds by boosting your immune system. And so I had never seen a study that had shown that. So when you give compliments or do good, receive good or receive compliments, or you observe good and observe kindness, our body is built to respond to strengthen us, just not spiritually, but mentally and physically. So I thought that was a cool study last night that I saw. So you're saying this and how she responded and all this. I'm just thinking, man, they probably slept well that night. You all probably slept well that night.
It's very important. You're absolutely right. You know, no one wants to be around people that constantly talk about themselves and pump themselves up. And Brian's a great example of that. You ever heard Brian talk about himself, brag about himself?
Just off
One of the
air.
most well,
No, I'm just kidding.
one
I'm
of the
just
most
kidding.
well-known people out there, you know,
Yep.
everybody knows who he is. And he's as humble as you'll ever meet of a person. It's one of the reasons people like him, you know. I mean, great guitar player, looks good on stage and all those things, but people really like him because of his personality. He's just really, really down to earth.
Yeah,
Doesn't have a great big head like a lot of guys in rock and roll do.
No, he's full of humbleness and humility, and his good heart shines through in everything that he does, including his music. So now
Very true.
We'll get him to blush here. Here we go.
Well, I'll accept the compliment, but I can make a joke out of it too. It's my my low self-esteem and the feeling that I'm faking it. That's what keeps me humble.
Yeah, you've been faking it till you make it for 40 years, right?
Yeah.
Well, whatever's creating the serotonin for you and for everybody else, it's working. So
I think for me, I really work hard to see the glass is half full every single day. And there are so many people on your worst day that have it worse than you. And we all want to look better and lose weight and be healthier. But part of why I did it was from fear. I'm now heavy into my 50s. And I mean, people have been dropping left and right, especially in the last 5 years. Every time I turn around, it's another person from Baltimore, a musician, someone that I knew for 20 or 30 years. You know, we just had another one from Mystic Force. This was just yesterday or the day before. And it's scary. And you look around and you've lost 20 or 30 people. And it seems like a lot of them die for kind of the same reasons. It's a tumor, it's cancer, it's organ failure, and it's all these things that come down to what it seems to me like is what we put in ourselves. So we're putting all these chemicals and things in ourselves, and our body tolerates it for the majority of our life. And then we get old enough, our body's not putting up with that crap anymore. And I don't want to be that guy. I don't want to find out that I've got cancer, and even if I can make it through that, I've got to go through chemo and all these other things because I ate too much garbage. And maybe I'm a little late getting cleaned up, but it's really never too late.
Never.
And so I've said before, and I lost weight, I'm going to keep it off. But now it's more than just keeping it off to try to look a certain way. Even I just I can't. You know, at this point, at 57 years old, I'm playing Russian roulette. If I keep feeding garbage to myself, something's going to catch up with me, and something's going to hurt me. And I don't want to be one of these other guys. It's scary how many of them we have lost and keep losing.
Yeah. You're absolutely correct. Go ahead, Brian.
Oh, I was just going to say, yes. And the older you get, the more that seems to happen around you. Like, because, for me, I'm like in my mid 60s now. And so everyone I know or that I grew up with is my age. So, the drop off is starting to happen,
Yeah, it's sad. I posted on the Keto Rocks Facebook page today. My wife Peggy sent this to me. But the addiction to ultra processed foods is so strong that some people will sacrifice limbs and eyesight to continue using their drug of choice.
It's
and
crazy.
I witnessed that. My friends, I'm 59, I'm 58. I'll be 59 here shortly. I'm 58. But I got people and they're in their upper 50s or maybe even in their lower 50s. And they're so slow in moving around, and they talk about all these aches and pains, and Peggy and I are like, and I'm just like, I feel the best in my life. So I agree with your statement, Rob. It doesn't matter how old you are when you've decided to start treating your body as a temple. Food is fuel, and our body is made to be resilient. I mean, it's amazing what the body can do as long as you keep feeding it the right fuel. And in a year's time, even your liver can be regenerated. So all those cells, as long as you give them the proper nutrition, and the proper nutrition is eating meat and eggs and stuff that was naturally given to us to devour. It's not, as Brian says, it's not fortified food or if you got to fortify it, then the food yourself is just crap to begin with. And
Was
so
that you that just posted something about why don't we have to fortify meat because it's already in there? I
Yeah,
saw that somewhere in the
it was
last.
it was a Dr. Barry tweet I reposted. Yeah.
Okay, that's where I saw that.
Yeah.
And Jim, you were talking about recently being at a concert and that you stood literally for hours and you would never have been able to do that
No,
before,
no.
standing on a hard surface, and you couldn't believe how you just floated right through that.
Yeah, that was Jimmy Buffett, 2.5 hours. My wife and I stood on concrete there at the Jiffy Lube Live Pavilion, and I could have even done that in my 20s. I mean, my knees would have, I would have ached, and I would have gone home and I'd have paid the price the next day. Zero aches and pains. I mean, I was like walking on feathers. It was just amazing.
Well,
Yeah.
that's the thing, you know, people, they blame that on old age. Oh, I'm getting old. But it's like, no, if you stop eating what you're eating, you won't feel like that
The
anymore.
inflammation, it's the inflammation that's in your body because of the food you are devouring and putting in it. Because some people in a white coat is telling you to do that and eliminating this other stuff. And then you got, like you said, Rob, you walk into a grocery store and it's not people's fault. I mean, you can't put an addict into an alcoholic or a drug addict into a store that has nothing but alcohol and drugs. And that's what happens constantly in this country. Every grocery store is full of processed foods, and unless you educate yourself like you and Carl are doing, and realizing that the narrative that's being pushed down Americans' throat, which is plant-based protein, and that meats are bad, and that we got to go this way, and that cows are harming the atmosphere, all this nonsense, you know, you're jeopardizing your health to follow a narrative or a thought structure that's going to end up killing you, when the people who have broke free from that programming, like Brian and you and Carl, are experiencing true life. You're experiencing, when you eat the proper human nutrition, the proper human diet, you're experiencing life-giving abilities. And it doesn't matter if you're 58, 59, 60, 65, 70. It's never too late for your body to start purging those toxins and cleansing yourself out. And I truly believe by living a carnivore lifestyle, I mean, we can live ache-free and pain-free. I mean, I think we can go to 120. I mean, I literally feel better now than I've ever felt in my life. So I'm not putting a term limit, just like I don't put a limit on what my weight's going to fall to do. I'm going to let my body and my health guide my path to where I'm going to go.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
No, Brian, did you ever have any issues at any point, or has this just never happened where when you play, I guess several times a night, you jump up on that box and then you jump off of it? Was that ever harder before and easier now, or vice versa? Or is that just never caught up to you because you do it all the time?
Yeah, that's actually never been hard for me. I guess physically I've always been pretty agile. But yeah, I don't jump as, when I jump off now, it's more of a hop.
Right.
But
kind of spring off. It's a springy little hop.
Yeah.
And like a lot of people, you know, my age, much less your age, it would be more of a thud, you know.
Yeah. Well, I actually have one of those. I don't even, what do you call it? Those like in my workout area, I have one of those boxes for jumping, the jump box, whatever. So I actually practice on that thing. I mean, when I'm doing it for a show, I'm actually running and just hopping up there, but I can do it with just, you know, the standing right in front of it and jumping up onto it.
Yeah.
So I stay in practice.
Now, I know this is kind of weird, but you, with being in the vet clinic for so many years, did you learn a lot of stuff as far as just chemical, I mean, labs, blood, things in animals that transfer to people, or is there not really a crossover?
No, I didn't actually. In fact, that was one of the parts of my job, was to run the blood. Like we take blood and I take it into the lab and I'd spin it down and you know, do that whole thing. But I was basically just following, the routine, and then it would print out the thing and it would show you if it's out of range. So,
Right.
I was just doing that. I didn't really, I didn't get into that until after I wasn't at the clinic anymore and I got into the keto thing.
Yeah.
In fact, the first book I read, the first two books, one was that Jason Fung about intermittent fasting, but the other one was Cholesterol Clarity, because that's what actually, I was on the fitness path, and then when the thing that got me on the nutrition path was getting blood work done with my doctor, and the cholesterol thing coming up, and I had just gone keto at that point, so my LDL went up, but everything else was perfect. My HDL was way up, like 136, which is crazy for HDL, and my triglycerides were way down, like 46, but my LDL was up. And I remember my doctor at the time, she goes, you may want to consider, getting on a statin. And I'm like, wait a minute, what's a statin? And that's when I started looking into that stuff. But she goes, but the fact that your LDL is so high and your triglycerides are low, she goes, we'll let it slide, but you need to change your diet.
Let it slide.
Yeah, she goes, what is your like? What do you eat? And I told her, I'm doing this keto thing, and she goes, oh no, you don't want to do that. It was like, that opened my eyes. It was like, wait a minute, what? And she did this spiel about you need to eat more whole grains and fruits and vegetables and low fat, and she went into that whole thing.
Like the skit that Dr. Berry just did with his wife. Did you see that?
Yeah, it was
hilarious.
Yeah. So that's what caused me to just start
Oh,
doing
no, don't do keto. No. We don't want you to do that.
Yeah. Even though my markers were like amazing. So anyway, I started with the cholesterol. So that's when I got onto the cholesterol thing, and I read that book, and it just opened my eyes to everything. Everything that the doctors try to skim over and just take you right to the prescription of statins.
Medical gaslighting.
Yeah. Well, hey, there's a question.
You'll be happy to know that Carl, I think he mentioned when he was on your all's episode that my doctor gives me a pill, I'll probably always be on it. Guess what it was?
Statin.
Yeah, and guess what else? He's seriously considering when he left here, going back, seeing that doctor and getting off of that, because he's realizing now, it's all part of the game. So I don't think he's ever really considered getting off of that before. He's thought, well, this is just something I have to have. But we were watching a bunch of Dr. Berry videos while they were here. That's how old we are. We're sitting around the living room at the lake watching Dr. Berry videos. But he said his brother recently passed away, and he said one of the last things his brother ever said to him was, "You need to get off that pill."
Wow.
So I think that's going to happen.
Yeah, I mean, if he's eating right, there's no need for it,
Oh, he's eating right.
Yeah,
he's eating right.
So
yeah, Carl's a monster. Carl is so just regimented. He makes all his food on Sunday for the whole week, and he packages it up in all these little boxes, and he fills up his whole fridge.
That's
so like
cool.
Wednesday morning, he just goes to the Wednesday morning stack, grabs the food, and out the door he goes. I mean, he's a funny guy, Carl. Like, whenever you're around Carl, if you're in a bad mood, you'll be in a good mood when you're done talking to him. And he can entertain himself. We don't even have to be there. he's just hilarious. I love that guy to death. But yeah, that's what he does. He makes all of his food on Sunday for the entire week.
Yeah, well, like you said, he works, right? So that is actually, a really smart thing to do. Instead of, like, I know when I was working at that pet clinic, my diet was at its worst because there was the lounge, and all the clients would bring in donuts and baskets full of muffins and sweets. And it was like, oh.
We were sitting down here, and we're eating, and he's shoving this ribeye down, and he says, "I wonder what the peasants are doing today."
That's funny.
All right, it's that time of the evening where we get a chance to check in with Brian Shanker, who last week was our hero, bringing us those ribeye deals of the week for Labor Day weekend. But Brian Shanker, what do you have for us this week?
Well, unfortunately, I don't have ribeyes, but those ribeyes were fantastic. I cooked 2 of them for my wife and I on the grill. I had the grill heat up to like 500 degrees and had it, I think I did 2 minutes a turn, 2 minutes, flip, 2 minutes, flip, 2 minutes. And they came out, well, my wife's came out perfect. Mine was a little bit over because it was a tiny bit thinner. But I do have some good steak deals for you this week. Food Lion's got a couple of deals running through the 13th. They've got some choice grade boneless New York strip steaks for $7.99 a pound. And then they've got a choice grade shoulder roast for $5.49 a pound. Harris Teeter's got their porterhouse and T-bones on sale this week. So the ranch grade bone-in, I think those are, obviously bone-in. T-bone, you can't have a T-bone without a bone, right? So the ranch grade porterhouse and T-bone steak value pack is $6.99 per pound. The small pack is $7.49 per pound. And the choice grade porterhouse and T-bone steaks are $7.99 per pound. And then down your way, Brian, Kroger, they've only got one steak deal running through the 13th for New York strip steaks in a family pack. Those are boneless for $10.99 per pound, but they do have their bone-in Boston butts on sale for 99 cents per pound. So that's a really good price for the pork butt.
Yeah,
those are good.
Yeah, and then finally, Giant Eagle, their deals run through the 14th. They've got some certified Angus beef, boneless sirloin tip roast or value pack steaks for $3.99 per pound, or the prime grade for $4.99 per pound. So I'm going to call my hot pick of the week this week is going to be at Harris Teeter for the choice grade porterhouse and T-bone steaks for $7.99 per pound. I think that's a really good price. People like the New York strip on one side, the filet on the other side. Those are good steaks.
Well, those are not bad deals for a week after Labor Day weekend, but there was nothing better than those ribeyes. I enjoyed a couple of those myself from Harris Teeter. So Harris Teeter, thank you very much. And I saw Brian enjoyed. Did you enjoy yours that you got from Kroger, Brian? You picked up some steaks.
Yeah, last week, and then I was just there. Was it yesterday? I can't keep track of time. I think I went there yesterday, but they still had those briskets on sale, so I grabbed yet another brisket, and then a pack of ribeyes because they still had those too. So
Nice.
I got a nice big 15-pound brisket, and I thought, I'll just throw that on today. So I did it this morning. It's on there right now.
Awesome.
Well, we'll look forward to seeing pictures on your post from that fatty brisket. You've been on a fatty brisket kick lately, which is brisket's good.
There's so many good barbecue places down here, but my favorite's at Center Point where I went yesterday. They've got the best, and we're such regular customers. The guy always just piles it on.
Oh, nice.
Awesome. Well, Mr. Shanker, we thank you for dropping in and giving us those deals of the week. We'll see you next Friday, and in the meantime, keep grilling that meat.
Sounds good.
All right, we'll see you.
The one thing I wanted to mention, especially if anyone's watching this that's thinking about trying this lifestyle, I don't try to give a ton of information out to people because I'm a beginner myself, but I try to point them to Dr. Barry's videos, to Brian's videos, to your, Keto Rocks, things like that, and let them kind of learn this stuff. One of the things I learned real quick is that I was drinking too much water and actually washing the potassium and salt and everything out of my body. This happened in the very, very beginning. So there's a lot of people out there that drink a lot of water and they think that it's necessary. I didn't learn until recently that it wasn't necessary. Brian told me in the very beginning, it seems like you're drinking an awful lot of water. And I was like, I said, do you drink that much? I mean, are you just thirsty? And I was like, yeah, I'm just thirsty. And I don't think it really stuck what he said, and I continued drinking. I drink these 24-ounce sport bottles,
Yep.
and I'll drink about 5 of those a day, which is a
Yep.
gallon. But I don't know if Dr. Berry did this video recently, or if I just came across it, but he did a video about the myth of having to drink a gallon of water a day.
Right.
Well, anyway, where I was going with this was I was drinking so much water, I was washing everything out of me. And I started to have a little episode where I didn't feel so great. I called Carl up and he was already asleep that night. And I talked to Lisa and she said, you've got to get some electrolytes in you fast. Everything was getting tingly on me. And I'm not the type to call someone when I'm not feeling good. So that tells you that I was a little scared over it. So I think we got through that night with just some Gatorade I found in the garage, and I sipped it real slow. And I think I talked to Brian probably the next day. And so he kind of told me what to order. Well, I couldn't get that very quick. So I went to Amazon. Actually, I think I went the night before because they delivered the next day. And I bought this right here, which is kind of a keto-friendly electrolyte. And that held me for probably about a week until I got the real stuff. Now, the real stuff is from Redmond's Real Salt. It's called Relight. They're not the fastest shippers in the world. So when you order something, plan ahead because it may take, a couple weeks for it to get to you. So this stuff right here, Relight, is what Brian had me get. And of course, this is Brian's favorite thing on planet Earth right here.
Yes.
This is Redmond's Real Salt. Brian takes this everywhere he goes, even in his suitcases through airports.
Yeah, he's got those little mini bottles there.
But
Yeah,
anyway,
I got one in my
this
car.
was twice as much. This cost twice what the Amazon stuff did, but I love it. And so what I do now, I think, well, I messaged Brian and he said, sounds like you've got some neuropathy in your hands. I didn't even know what that was. See, he says that he doesn't know very much. Be amazed at how much he knows.
Oh, I know.
And if people could read the information he writes to me in the inboxes, he sounds like a medical doctor. I'm like, dang, I thought he was just a guitar player. This guy knows an awful lot of stuff. But anyway, he had me get that. And so every morning, I put a scoop of that in a bottle of water and I get those electrolytes in me. And if I'm working outside or I'm doing something that's real strenuous, sometimes I'll have a second one. But that's made a huge difference for me, the electrolytes, adding that into what you're doing. And it does not give you an insulin spike. So you can do that in the morning because all I do is drink water in the morning. I don't really like coffee and tea and all that. So
Well,
the
the thing-
electrolytes kind of is the flavor for me.
Well, the cool thing about the Redmond, well, actually, hang on, let me show you this one too. There's also this brand, the Element brand, which is really good. But both those, the reason I like this one is because it's little packets and it's good for travel. I take that when I travel, but both the Relight and the Element, they both make a unflavored version.
Yeah.
So with my Relight, I have two. I have an unflavored and a flavored, and I usually do like 3/4 unflavored and then a little bit of the flavor, just because I'm so used to not drinking sweet stuff that
I remember you telling me about that one time. You said you're always a little wary of anything that has some flavor in it.
And it's cool to have if you have the unflavored, you can add that to coffee. You can put it in anything, and it doesn't mess it up. Adds a little saltiness. But
yeah,
in fact, I have a chocolate salt flavor of this that I put in my coffee sometimes, and I'll take that when I travel. If I can't have my bulletproof coffee, then I'll just throw the electrolyte stuff in.
Yeah,
there.
send me a link to that stuff right there.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
So Rob, what's your favorite food out of all the food that you're eating? What's your favorite food to devour?
Steak. I eat steak almost every day. And I remember posting in the beginning of this, if you're going to do this, don't get hung up on what stuff costs because it's not cheap doing this. You're going to spend more money, but you're spending it on yourself. You're spending it for your health, for your future. So don't get too hung up on it. I will try to save money on meat where I can and eat sirloins instead of ribeyes. Les Carl and Lisa are coming to town. We ate ribeyes every day. But as soon as they left, I'm back to the $7.99 a pound sirloin.
Well,
I'll go ahead.
I'm sorry, but the thing is, it seems like you're spending more because meat is expensive, but like for me, I'm not buying all that other crap. I'm just buying the
Right.
meat. So it's really, it kind of
Good
balances out.
point.
And you're
You're
not
really
eating
saving on the donut money and the Cheerios and Frosted Flakes and all that. So
and you're not
Yeah.
eating 5 to 7 times a day either. You're eating that one time in that 4-hour window. So you're not eating those other meals that you were eating. So if you added up $3 a crap here, $5 a crap here, and $10 a crap here, and you're buying a $15 ribeye, well, you're still saving a couple dollars.
Yep.
And more important than that, your health is what you're
Yeah,
saying.
you'll save on your medical bills too.
yeah, yeah. You know, I don't know what year, 2009 or whatever it was. All of a sudden, I'm getting ready to get married, and I'm overweight, and I have like 2.5 months before the wedding date. We're going to go to Vegas, right? And I'm like, I'm looking at myself, and I'm like, you look like a slob. So I was like, that's a lot of weight to lose in 2.5 months. So I really got to go all out. Well, anyway, I was doing what you were saying. I was doing all these little mini meals all day long. And it was, I guess, Atkins, I was doing the Atkins bars and the shakes, and you had to have a mid-morning snack, a mid-afternoon snack, little meat rolls. And looking back at it, everything I was doing for that protein was all processed. It was the sliced ham that come in the package full of the syrup and everything, the cheese, every part of it was processed. Like if I eat ham now, I buy a big piece of real ham, and I looked at it to make sure it's not injected with all kinds of crap. But anyway, it worked, but it was expensive. And yeah, I was eating like 5, 6, 7 times a day. And now it's either once or twice. I mean, I generally say that I have 2 meals a day, and a lot of times I do. Sometimes I only have one. It depends if I'm not hungry, but I'm damn sure not having 5.
Right.
Not having breakfast at 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, essentially, which would be breaking a fast. So I'm happy about it. You can fall off of this thing. That the worst that's happened to me is I ended up, this was a couple of weeks ago, I ended up in ICU for a few days, and the garbage that they fed me in that hospital, I instantly, and I felt like I had to eat it because I was in there. I actually got bit by a copperhead on my property, and it about killed me. And I had to go through this anti-venom treatment, and they were pulling labs for me every 4 hours for 3 days and sending them to poison control. And I felt like I had to eat food because I was so weak and everything. I felt like, this is no time to be fasting, right now. And you never knew when the food was coming. Like you'd just be sitting there rubbing your eyes. You just woke up, and the next thing, boom, there's a plate of food lands in front of you. Peaches and syrup and pastries and just all this garbage. And it seemed like you barely got that down. And here came the lunch tray, and they slapped that down in front of you. No one was asking me what I wanted. They just brought it and slapped it down in front of me. So I was in there, and that happened 3 times a day. And I really felt it. I got out of there. I was like, man, I really feel clogged up. Or is it because they took all my blood? I don't know, but it was a combination. But yeah, it was garbage food. And I had recently watched a video, whether it was Dr. Barry or you guys. I've learned all this basically from y'all about big food. I didn't have any idea that grain-based food was cheaper to produce, and that's why they pushed it so hard. I didn't know about the government and the daily requirements, how they counted ketchup as a vegetable. I just learned all that recently from this stuff. And what did they have Fruit Loops in there?
Yeah,
Fruit Loops
and Lucky Charms.
Lucky Charms,
Yeah.
and Frosted Mini Wheats, and it's this craziness stuff they have listed as nutritional.
Yeah.
Well, that's because Nabisco and Kellogg's and all those, that's who funds all those agencies.
So I'm sitting there in the hospital, and all this garbage is landing in front of me, and I had just seen those videos. So I'm like, they're doing it to me. Like they're doing it to me right now. I'm the chump sitting in here having to eat their crap so that they can make more money. I think I heard Brian say, or somebody, that when big tobacco got so heavily regulated, they went and bought up all the food companies. And so those are the guys that are running big food now. And it's just the biggest racket ever. And yeah, they have the whole country addicted. When you walk through the store, it's all you see is garbage, garbage, garbage. You have to have tunnel vision to go where you need to go.
Yeah, all the tobacco, the guys in the lab trying to figure out how to make it more addictive. Now they're working on the
Yeah.
food. So
Yep. Yep. And I would say my the one thing I do that's not totally strict, and I only do it because I get away with it, is with my first meal, which is usually 12, 1, 2, somewhere in there, I'll do my breakfast. So I do scrambled eggs and bacon or sausage. And I, for whatever reason, have been able to get away with having an apple or an orange. And it is my carbs for the day. So one of those things is about 17 carbs. And I have stayed under 20 per day. And that's pretty much most of it right there. You know, it'd be 15, 17 carbs. And I said in the beginning, if I'm not losing the weight, then I won't touch another piece of fruit. But for whatever reason, I've been able to get away with it. So it's kind of like my tasty little treat, you know. And I'll still wait and eat it last. So I put all the protein down first and I
yeah,
get all
that's a
that
good way
in
to
me.
do it.
And I'll do the fruit last so that it's got something to absorb into.
Yeah, they always say to do that. That
Yep.
the fat and the protein will keep that spike down.
Yep. So I really feel like that I'm still in the student phase learning about all this, but I've been like a sponge and I just soak it up. I'm watching everything that I can. I learn new stuff all the time. And I'm pretty excited about it. And it's not like I'm suffering. I mean, I love steak. I love chicken. I love seafood and I'm eating it all the time. So my fridge, a normal person will look at my fridge and say, there's nothing in here.
Yep.
You know, what are you eating? Oh, it's all down in the freezer mostly. You know, the ribeyes, sirloins, love scallops. If Walmart keeps the scallops a little too long, they mark those sea scallops down 50% off. And I'll go in and buy every box of them and stick them down in the freezer. They're huge, great big, huge sea scallops. So I love those and shrimp. And Walmart also has crab cakes, where you can get 4 of them together. So the food that I pulled out, like right behind the camera in the sink, I'm looking. Yep, ribeyes and crab cakes are sitting down there thawing out. I just got back from Daytona, so I was pulling my food out this morning, going, okay, this is what I'm having later. You know, da, 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 da. So it's been a neat thing. I will always do this forever now because it's so much more than just a vanity thing. It's a health thing. If I kept eating the way that I was eating, I truly believe I would have killed myself eventually through cancer, tumor, organ failure, or something, because I'm at the age now where my body is not going to tolerate it anymore. It's done with that garbage.
Yeah. Well, and getting back to, saving on food, like you said, it's like the meat and stuff you can put in your freezer, so you can buy it when it's on sale, put it in the freezer. Like back when I was, even back in the keto days, buying all those vegetables, you have to eat them before they go bad, and half the time they would go bad, you'd have to throw them away. So yeah, you look in my refrigerator and it's like jars of bone broth and then some bacon. It's like,
I said something to Crystal about that. I said, Brian's got a video on bone broth, and she's a professional chef. I mean, she used to go around and her job was to go to different houses and cook for people and stuff. And I mean, there's nothing this girl can't do. She's amazing. She's amazing at everything, but cooking is one of the things she's really good at. And I said, Brian's got this video on bone broth, and I said, it looks like a distillery almost, like he's got all these mason jars lined up and everything. And she said, that is a lot of work making that stuff. She says, you can buy bone broth. And I said, but you make everything, honey. You make everything from scratch. And I think she was amazed that you actually did that from scratch. And I never hear her really say too much about something's a lot of work. And she said, that's a lot of work.
It's not really. You just got to let it go. You just stick it in the crock pot and let it simmer. But I've had store-bought bone broth and it's like night and day. It's really, it's bone broth flavored water, basically. When you make it yourself and you put it in the fridge and then you open the jar back up, it's like Jello. It's like so loaded with collagen. And in fact, I've learned since I've been making bone broth that meat stock is actually even a better version of it. So you just do it along with, like, say, a big chuck roast or something. Just throw like a chunk of meat, and then you get all that stuff into the broth. So
do you keep chicken bones too, or just mainly steak bones?
Well, I don't eat chicken, so I don't have chicken.
Okay.
breast.
Okay. Can you use chicken bones as well, or is that not as
No,
good of a bone?
we make chicken broth. We use it to make.
See?
Yeah, we
You
do.
can use any kind of bones. Like, I'll mix beef, pork, lamb bones. Yeah, all different kinds. And joint bones are the best, like neck bones, or because they have the connective tissue and all that stuff in.
Yeah. So every day you eat that pound of brisket, you're not getting any bones. You can put in your bone bag.
Well, I do when I do the trim, I throw all that fat stuff in my bone bag.
I've never ever known anyone that eats more brisket than you. You are the brisket king. There's always the brisket around.
I love it. Oh, and the fat cap is my favorite.
Yeah. So you liked when you were down to Gatlinburg, you liked Bennett's when you went there, Bennett's barbecue?
Yeah, it was good. Yeah.
I used to live near there up in Tennessee. So we were always in Pigeon Forge and Gatlinburg, and we'd go there. We loved that place. They had the hoods from the NASCAR cars on the wall, like Dale Earnhardt's up there and Sterling Marlin and all that. It's a cool place. Yeah.
Yeah, we went there late. We were like, I think we were the only table in there. Maybe there was one other, but yeah.
What's your Walmart like that you go to? Is it a big, huge, super gigantic Walmart where you buy your stuff?
There's one close to here. It's not well, maybe it is. Usually when I go there, I just run in and out. I don't I don't spend a whole lot of time. There's so many people. And the only thing I've gone there for is those Max pork cracklings.
Oh
yeah,
they're good.
Oh yeah.
Walmart carries those. Kroger used to. They stopped carrying them, so now I got to go to Walmart. But that's the only reason.
Carl bought some when he was down here. He saw the video. He saw you raving about those things. He's like, I got to go get me some of those. And by God, he went out and found some too.
They're dangerous though. That's the one thing I have to sort of like. Like I can get in the habit of eating those I'll start to cook and then I'll see my cracklings. I go, well, maybe I have a couple. And the next thing I know, the whole bag's gone.
Yeah, those are way better. Since you did that episode, I've been buying those, and those are way better than the pork rinds. The pork rinds is it's like sawdust. It gets in my lungs, in my throat. I'm coughing the rest of the day. But those cracklings it's like the skin, it's like the meat. And it's oh my gosh, they're good.
Yeah.
The skin and the fat, it's just the perfect combination. And the crunch.
One of the side benefits to all this, and of course we're doing it for the right reasons and all that, but this doesn't apply so much to you, Brian, but Jim will understand. When you're losing this weight, every time you go in your closet, it's like Christmas Day. You find something that you haven't worn in a long time that will fit you. And even in the beginning, when I was down 20 pounds, I'd go in and grab some stuff and put it on, and I still looked like a pack of hot dogs wrapped up in cellophane. And I was like, nah, it's gonna be another month before I can try it again. And now everything in the closet is like, I was 40 jeans, now I'm 34. I was double XL shirts, not just double XL shirts. Like I was double XL where they fit the first time, and then when you washed them, they didn't fit anymore. And I was like, this. Really, could I be going to a 3XL? This cannot happen. I went from those double XLs to XLs are loose on me, and I can wear some larges now. But the pants, some of them I haven't worn since I was in Maryland, are sliding right back on. And so it's like Christmas. Every time you go in and you pull something out, hey, I wore this to the Hammerjacks takeover party in 2010 or whatever it was. It fits again. So I love that. That always keeps me smiling. And every day I step on the scale, if the number is less, even if I'm by myself, because right now Crystal lives in Oklahoma, and I'm still here in South Carolina, and I'll be all by myself, and I'll look and I'll go, woo! That's what I'm talking about. I get so happy just over losing the pounds.
That's funny, Rob. You know what I used to do? I used to do this. Peggy, if she's hearing me, she's gonna start laughing. But I used to do the Olympic anthem, like when you're going up on the medals, dun dun dun. So when I get up on the scales, if I lost weight, I just shout like you do. I'd be shouting up on and she's like, "All right, how much did you lose this time?" But but now it just I mean, literally, I'm just in that 195, 198 range. It depends on what time of day I jump on the scale. So I don't even worry about the weight anymore. It's
How
more,
tall are you?
I'm 6'2", 6'2".
Okay. Well, I'm headed that way. You're a good deal ahead of me. You're below. I'm still at 207 and I'm 6 feet.
Yeah.
So you're yeah, that's awesome. But I know exactly what you mean. And by the way, good looking tri-tune that you have. I saw that online the other day.
Oh.
That's a good looking boat.
Yeah,
That's a good looking boat. You got it set up nice too.
well, we're part of Freedom Boat Club, so we got that and 25 other boats we choose from. But that's my wife's favorite, the cruise
That
boat.
Bennington.
Yeah, so she loves the tri-tune, so we take that out on quite often. As a matter of fact, we're going out Monday. We're going out on Monday with some friends on that one. We were just out
When
yesterday.
you hop off of that boat and you hop on another boat, it reminds you how smooth it is. We were down in Daytona and we were on the Intercoastal a couple of days ago on a buddy's center console. And granted, it wasn't as bad as a standard V-Haul, but I mean, we had these 100-foot cabin cruisers and yachts coming around us, and we were hitting these wakes. I mean, it was rattling your teeth.
Oh yeah.
And it was the center console, and we were standing instead of sitting, but I was still like, man, I missed my tri-tune back on the lake. I'll see everyone else just getting beat to death, and my boat will just carve right through it, like it's not even there. And that's what's happening with you with that Bennington.
Yeah, when I take out when I go fishing, I take out a Wellcraft 28 that's center console, and that, I mean, you're just hitting waves. The Potomac, you're from up in this area, so the Potomac's either going to be like glass or it's going to be like you're in the ocean in a storm, a whiteout. But I've been out there when you're on that Wellcraft, that center console, man, it'll beat the daylights out of you. I mean, every wave is just, you think the whole boat's going to come apart. But that tritone, man, it's just like smooth. That's why my wife loves the fact that it's just always this like.
They're awesome.
Yeah,
you can walk around in them. You're not tripping over everybody's stuff.
And we always bring a plate of meat, so you got a plate of meat to eat. So it's all good.
We had the V-Haul down here, and then we got the Tritune, and she was like, "Let's keep both of them." And we never went out on the V-Haul anymore. So it was just sitting down there. We had the Tritune on the lift, and the V-Haul was tied up to the dock, just getting grunge on the sides of it. And finally, we just sold it. But when I first came down here, I was like, what is all these open bow boats that are everywhere? Like, that's not how they do it where I'm from. Yeah. It's like, well, what do they do where you're from? Well, we have cabin cruisers up on the Chesapeake Bay. We don't have cabin cruisers in South Carolina. I'm like, well, why would you? Well, if you had open bow boats on the Chesapeake Bay, they'd all be sunk.
Yeah.
But it's different down here. But yeah, that was a good looking boat. I saw it the other day.
Yeah, we were just out yesterday, so we enjoyed as much as we can. But I just looked at the clock and man, we were way past our time of keeping.
Are we?
Rob, yeah. So Rob, I'm going to let you ask Brian a question, and I'll let Brian answer it from you in regards to this.
Well, Brian, I would say if you had anything you could tell everybody here and sum it up in one sentence, just one sentence, what would it be?
I think that would probably be eat your meat.
Amen.
We all second that anyway. Well, Rob, thank you for coming on. Thank you for joining us. Thanks, Carl, for bringing you on board, and thank Brian for bringing both of you guys. But
thank you guys for having me.
No, it's always an honor. And listen, if you're out there listening to Rob and you've been inspired and you've been doing it and you got a story to share, man, come share it on this channel. We want to let people know that, everybody who does it experiences these types of results. So we'd love to have you share your story on our show. In the meantime, thanks for watching. We'll see you next Friday, same time, same place. In the meantime, stay safe, stay well, stay kind. We'll see you, everybody.
See ya.